Okay guys, so this video is going to show you how to do unit conversions using dimensional analysis, and this is the first of probably 2 videos. So this is going to be the simpler ones, the ones just using our conventional units and the metric system. Alright, so this first problem, I have 65 ounces and I want to know how many pounds that is. So to use dimensional analysis, the first thing you do is you write down what's given to you. And so I've been given 65 ounces and I have to go to pound. And so the second thing you have to do is you have to come up with some sort of plan. And so the little unit conversion papers that I gave you in class, those will be the ones that you'll be able to use on the test. So you want to get familiar using these and not just Google certain unit conversions on the internet, because there's more than what I've given you. But this will make sure that you get the method down so that when we go to when we get to real chemistry, you'll be able to use this method well. Okay, so I see that there's 16 ounces and 1 pound. And so 16 ounces is equal to 1 pound. And so I can write this like this, or I can write it like that. And since I want to go to pounds, I need to make sure, I'm back up here now, I need to make sure that my ounces cancel out and go away. So what that means is I've got to put ounces on the bottom. So which one of these am I going to use? Well, I should be using this one, because if I put that in this spot up here, then ounces will cancel and I'll be left with pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. I've got 16 ounces in the bottom and 1 pound on the top. So now when I put this into my calculator, what I'm going to type in is 65 divided by 16. Now you can type in the 1 if you want, to be 65 times 1 divided by 16. But that's the same as saying 65 divided by 16. So when you put that in your calculator, what you end up getting is 4.0625. And ounces is gone. Ounces canceled out. So the unit that I have left is pounds. And that's how I knew that I had to put ounces on the bottom, because it had to cancel out. So this answer would be acceptable. Okay. But if you had to report your answer to the correct number of significant figures, in my class I give bonus points for that. So I've got 2 significant figures in my number given to me. I have a 6 and a 5. And so my answer has to be reported to 2 significant figures. And so my answer should be 4.1 pounds. All right. Okay, let's do another one. So now I have 3.58 times 10 to the 5th seconds, and I want to know how many years that is. So the first thing you do is you write down what's given to you. So I have 3.58 times 10 to the 5th seconds. And then I have to come up with a plan. So in order to go from seconds to years, there's a lot of units I have to go through. All right? And so the first thing I know is that 60 seconds are equal to 1 minute. And then I know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And we've also got 24 hours in 1 day. And there's 365 days in 1 year. So I have to go through every single one of these units, seconds to minutes, and then minutes to hours, and then hours to days, and then days to years. And so, again, which one of these would I use first? Well, I know that seconds has to go away because I don't want seconds anymore, right? I don't want seconds, I want years. So I'm going to put seconds on the bottom so that it cancels out with seconds on the top. And so the only one with seconds in it is this one. So that's the one I'm going to use first. And I'm going to put 60 seconds in 1 minute. Okay, and then I'm going to cancel out seconds. So seconds is gone, and I'm left with minutes. So next, I'm going to do minutes. So which unit has to go down on the bottom now? Right, minutes has to go down on the bottom. And so I'm going to use this one now. So I've got 60 minutes in 1 hour. And then next, I'm going to use this one. And there's 24 hours in 1 day. And then I'm going to have 365 days in 1 year. So now when I look at this, I've got seconds canceling with seconds, minutes canceling with minutes, hours canceling with hours, days canceling with days, and I'm left with years. And that's what I wanted to find. I wanted to find how many years there were. And so the only way units cancel is when you have one on the top and one on the bottom. Just like if you have x over x, that's going to equal 1. They're going to cancel out. So now I can put this into a calculator, and the way you would do that would you would put 3.58 times 10 to the 5th. Remember to use the E button, the big capital E on your calculator, and you're going to divide by 60 and divide by 60 and divide by 24 and divide by 365. Okay, so if it's in the bottom, you hit divide, and if it's in the top, you hit multiply. You can multiply by all these ones if you want, so you could technically put 3.58 times 10 to the 5th times 1 divided by 60 times 1 divided by 60 times 1 divided by 24 times 1 divided by 365. But multiplying by all those ones is not going to get you anywhere. So you just want to make sure you divide by all of those. And so your answer is going to be 0.011352. Okay? And if you had to put this in significant figures, you've got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. So I'm going to go 1, 2. This is my third significant figure, so I'm rounding to that digit. And so I'm going to put 0.0114 because the 5 makes the 3 go up. And so that's how many years are in 3.58 times 10 to the 5th seconds. Okay? So a little more than 1% of a year. All right, let's do another one. Okay, so I've got 2.8 times 10 to the 8 centimeters, and I want to know how many miles that is. So the first thing I'm going to do is write down what's given to me. And I've got 2.8 times 10 to the 8th centimeters. And then I have to come up with a plan. So I know that I've got 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And then I've also got 12 inches in 1 foot. And then I've got 5,280 feet in 1 mile. All right. So starting out, since I've already written this down up here, right, what unit has to go on the bottom? Centimeters has to go on the bottom to get rid of the centimeters on the top. So I'm going to write this on the, sorry, you can't see that. I'm going to write this one on the bottom. So I've got 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And then next is going to come that one. because it's got inches in it. So I got 12 inches is in 1 foot. And then next is going to be feet to miles. And so there's 5,280 feet. In 1 mile. All right. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the last problem. We're going to divide by everything that's in the bottom. So it's going to be 2.8 times 10 to the negative 8, or times 10 to the 8th, excuse me, divided by 2.54, divided by 12, divided by 5,280. And so what you end up getting in your calculator is 1,739.84 miles. Now, this only has 2 significant figures, 1, 2, so I have to round, I have to round to the second significant figure, which would be the 7. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. In grade school, if they would have asked you to round this number to the hundreds place, would you have written down 17? I hope not, because you can't just change 1,700 into 17. You'd make this 3 and this 9 right here zeros, all right? Or if that makes you feel uncomfortable, you can always write it in scientific notation. So I'd either have 1,700 miles, or I could write it 1.7 times 10 to the 3rd miles. Either one of those is acceptable. They're the exact same answer. Like I said, I would accept this on a test. You wouldn't get penalized for it, but you'd get bonus points if you have the right number of sig figs. All right, let's do another one. All right, so this is the metric system. The metric system is easier, but it takes students longer to get used to in America because we're not used to dealing with it all the time. And so we're going to do this the same way we do the other ones. I've got 3.5 times 10 to the negative 4 seconds, and I want to know how many microseconds that is. And so I'm going to look at the list that was given to me in class, and I'm going to look for the abbreviation micro. And if I look at that and I look all the way over to the example problem, what I see is that 1 microgram is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 6 grams. Now, grams is just a base unit. It can be anything. It can be watts, it can be seconds, it can be bytes, it can be meters, it can be liters, it can be anything. So in this certain question, it's seconds. And so instead of using this, we would actually be using 1 microsecond is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 6 seconds. All right, so knowing that now, that's our plan because we just want to go from seconds, right? We just want to go from seconds to microseconds. So what unit has to go in the bottom? Seconds has to go in the bottom, and so it's going to be 1 times 10 to the negative 6 seconds in the bottom, and then 1 microsecond is going to be on the top. So seconds cancels out, and I'm left with 1 microsecond. And so I'm going to put this into my calculator. And I get 350 microseconds. If you're not getting these same answers on the problems where I have scientific notation in the question, you're probably not putting it in the calculator right. And so make sure that you come in and I can show you how to put it in the calculator. It's not hard. It's better than getting something wrong because you're not putting it in the calculator right. So that's it. There's 2 significant figures in this number, and there's 2 significant figures in that number. So we're all good. All right, so this time I've got 200 kilograms, and I want to know how many grams that is. So again, I'm going to write down what's given to me. I've got 200.0 kilograms. and I want to know grams, so I need to come up with a plan. Well, I notice that this is grams and this is grams, and then I have a prefix here, so that means that I'm using the metric system. And if I look, I've got 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. And so I'm going to use that. Now this time, what has to go on the bottom, what unit? Kilogram has to go on the bottom because we've got it in the top, so it also needs to be down here so those units can cancel out. Now, how many kilograms do I have? I have 1 kilogram, and that's equal to 1,000 grams. So I have to put the other part of it on the top. I have to keep this ratio equal to 1 if you were to take out what it is, because 1,000 grams is 1 kilogram, so this really is equal to 1. So now I can cancel out my units. Kilograms cancels, I'm left with grams, that's what I want. So now I can put this into a calculator, and so I end up getting 200,000 grams. Okay, so you can write it like this, or you can write it in scientific notation. You can't write it like this for significant figures, I'm sorry. You've got, whoa, what's happening? You've got 200.0, and so that's 4 significant figures, right? And so for my answer, I have to report it to 4 significant figures, and so the easiest way to do that for this is to put it into scientific notation. And so to put this number in scientific notation would be 2.000 times 10 to the 5th. And so this now has 4 significant figures because those zeros are significant. There's a decimal in the number. Okay, I got 2 more planned here, so let's keep going. So this time I want to go from 2.56 kilometers to centimeters. And so I'm going to write down what I have, and then I need to come up with a plan. So if I look at my list for kilo, it says that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, and then it also says that 1 centimeter or centigram is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 2 grams. So with this, remember that meter up here is just a base unit. It can be replaced with anything. So we can replace grams with meters. And so this would be an M, and this would be an M, and this would be an M, and this would be an M. And so you just use the same numbers, but you can change the base unit of your units. Okay, so what has to come first? 1 kilometer, because I have kilometers up here, so I'm going to put 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. And then next I have to go to centimeters, so what has to go on the bottom? I need meters on the bottom, and which one of these numbers right here has the units meters? This one does. So I'm going to put 1 times 10 to the negative 2 meters is 1 centimeter. And that gets us to the unit centimeter. So I'm going to cancel out my units now. Meters cancels with meters, kilometers cancels with kilometers. And I'm going to plug this into a calculator. And I get, my answer is 256,000. So I can leave it like that, or I can write it in scientific notation. Okay. All right. Let's do one more. All right, so I realized after I did this slide that I didn't mention how to put this into your calculator, and so I really want to go over this one. because we have two different things going on here. So we've got 2.56 being multiplied by 1,000, right, times 1,000, and then it's being divided by 1 times 10 to the negative 2. And so make sure that you put in your calculator 2.56 times 1,000, and then divided by 0.01, or 1 times 10 to the negative 2. So you don't multiply by this second one, you're dividing by it because it's in the bottom, and you're multiplying by this one because it's in the top. All right, so now on to the next one. This time, I want to go from 5 miles to meters. And so this one is going to be a combination of both the metric system and our conventional units. So the first thing you have to do is write down what you have. So I've got 5 miles. And then I have to come up with a plan. So I know that 1 mile, this is off the stuff that I gave you in class, is equal to 5,280 feet. And then I also know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And then I also know that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. And then last but not least, I know that 1 centimeter is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 2 meters. Okay, we used that one on the last page. It's from the metric system. All right? And so in order to work this problem, I'm going to start, and miles has to go in the bottom. So I've got 1 mile is 5,280 feet. And then I'm going to have 1 foot is 12 inches. And then I'm going to have 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. And then after centimeters here, I'm going to have 1 centimeter is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 2 meters. All right, so then I can put this in a calculator, and I'm going to take 5 times 5,280 and divide by 1, times 12 divide by 1, times 2.54 divide by 1, times 1 times 10 to the negative 2, and divide by 1. So you don't really have to divide by 1 all those times. It's not going to change your number. Go ahead and cancel out my units so you can see. We got miles to cancel with miles, feet to cancel with feet, inches to cancel with inch, centimeters to cancel with centimeter. I'm left with meters, which is what I wanted. And so if I put that all in my calculator, I end up getting 8,046.72. Okay, now since this only has 1 significant figure in it, I'm going to round my answer to 1 significant figure, and so that's going to be the first digit. So 8,046 turns into just 8,000 meters, or I can write 8 times 10 to the 3rd meters. All right, so that's all the examples I'm going to put on this. There will probably be a few more on the next one, on the next video, as well as using density as unit conversion. All right, good luck. Don't give up. I promise it will get easier. It just takes sometimes it just takes a little longer for it to sink in.